Legislative Update by Melanie Brunson. A thumbnail, shoulder-length color photograph of Melanie is located at the beginning of her legislative update. The depiction shows her with dark glasses and smiling ever so faintly. There is no caption with the photo. The legislative update begins. House bills seek to improve VA operations. In mid-September, the House of Representatives passed two bills relating to the policies and procedures of the Department of Veterans Affairs, VA. The first was H.R. 5620, the VA Accountability and Appeals Modernization Act. There are two parts to this bill. The first contains provisions designed to make it easier for the VA Secretary to discipline and, when necessary, fire employees who engage in illegal or unethical activity during the course of their employment or are found to be, quote, poor performers, end quote. The bill also revamps the claims appeal process to create more options for veterans seeking reconsideration of a decision regarding their eligibility for benefits. The next step for this bill is review by the Senate. Unfortunately, this is not likely to occur prior to its rapidly approaching pre-election recess. Stay tuned for more information on this bill once Congress has returned in November. The second bill passed by the House extends VA's authority to continue many of its programs and services into the next fiscal year, which begins October 1st. At press time, the Senate had actually approved this legislation already, and President Obama was likely to sign it when it reached his desk. Although the aforementioned legislation gives VA the authority it needs to continue operations, the full funding needed was still in limbo at the time of this writing. Members of both parties from both houses of Congress are working to negotiate a spending plan to keep the government running after October 1st. With time getting away from them very rapidly and their own plan to recess in order to campaign in their home districts throughout the month of October, there is still much quibbling about what should be included in the spending package. Even if they did complete work on a spending package, it would be accomplished through a continuing resolution that would be effective only through December 9th. This means that when Congress returns after the election, all of the bickering over what gets funded and for how much and for how long will start all over again. Protecting veterans with mental illness. A photo accompanies this subsection of the legislative update. A group of formally dressed individuals are standing together outdoors. Trees are visible in the background. 6 faces are seen, and portions of 3 signs held up by members of the group are partially readable. One says, "There is hope and help," and then includes an 800 number, followed by an instruction to press number 1 on the telephone. 3 men in the group are wearing service caps. The caption states, Melanie Brunson, middle of photo, joined representatives of other veterans service organizations and members of Congress at September 13 press conference in support of veterans with mental illness due to TBI and PTSD. The legislative update continues. On September 13th, I attended an outdoor press conference just outside the U.S. Capitol building initiated by Vietnam Veterans of America and a bipartisan group of 10 lawmakers. Dozens of veterans service organizations, including BVA, were invited to attend and stand behind the speakers in support. Unitedly, we called for the final version of a defense policy bill to include language aimed at protecting service members and veterans with mental illness from less than honorable discharges. All of the members of Congress present delivered brief remarks. Also speaking was Tyson Manker, a Marine who was discharged dishonorably from the military in 2003 after suffering from PTSD and who found himself stripped of his GI Bill, his Illinois Veterans Grant, a signing bonus, service-related compensation, and his eligibility for VA health care. When Manker later sought to upgrade his discharge status, he discovered that others with mental health conditions faced the same bureaucratic challenges. The amendment in question, the Veterans Fairness Act, was attached to the Senate's passed version of the National Defense Authorization Act in late summer with unanimous support. It would require Defense Department panels that review discharges to consider medical evidence from a veteran's health care provider. Panels would have to review each case, presuming that post-traumatic stress disorder, traumatic brain injury, or sexual assault trauma led to the discharge. Manker is now an attorney and law professor from Illinois running for a county attorney office. The House is yet to pass the NDAA. At press time, the conference committee is on a tight deadline to pass a final bill with the Senate scheduled for recess on October 7th. Manker and several members of Congress called on President Obama to issue an executive order to make the reform effective in the absence of congressional action. Same-day appointments available by end of year. Undersecretary for Health Dr. David J. Shulkin recently announced that all VA medical centers will soon have the ability to schedule same-day appointments for those who require them. The projected date for this milestone is December 31st. Dr. Shulkin has indicated that the priority for the change at the Veterans Health Administration, VHA, is extremely high, particularly when it comes to scheduling appointments for mental health services. Because the ability of veterans in crisis to obtain mental health services when they need them is a key component of VA's suicide prevention campaign, the department has ramped up efforts to ensure that medical facilities nationwide will be able to meet the needs of veterans in such emergencies. New Center for Women Veterans. A new office staffed by women veterans will help VA better understand and address the concerns of women veterans. The staff is currently attempting to reach out to women across the country to let them know of resources that are available to them and to educate the public about the concerns and needs of women veterans. Visit their resource page on the VA website or find them on social media for further information. Interested parties in weekly updates from BVA can also subscribe to an email list that will send a range of resources directly to their inbox. The legislative landscape can change frequently, and when such changes occur between issues of the Bulletin, we will post updates on the BVA website so that our readers do not have to wait several weeks for them. They can also contact me at BVA National Headquarters by phone or send a detailed email with their questions to mbrunson, that's MBRUNSON, @bva.org.